Welcome to this week's podcast episode. I brought on Tyler Kelly, who is an online fitness coach based in Chicago. Tyler, welcome.
Hey, Heather. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Give a little background. How did you get into the fitness industry?
Yeah, so started like 8 years ago. I started as a personal trainer. That was my first ever job and did that for 6 years. And I enjoyed what I was doing, but there was a lot of limitations with, time, income, freedom. So I just wanted to help more people with the knowledge I was gaining. So I kind of took a stab at the online thing and hired a mentor. I didn't really have any like business or marketing knowledge, but I just had this spark of like, I want to do things my own way. I don't want to be held to, certain training regimens or ways I'm dealing with my clients. So kind of learn the ins and outs of the online industry. And it's been 2 years now. And I'm very grateful, helped a few thousand people online. And I just keep plugging away.
But for you, your website is Logical Lifting. So can you define that? What does that mean?
Yeah, so logical lifting for me is it's the thinking of logic, right? Not just going in and being a bro or, mindlessly working out. I mean, there's a lot of methodology to how I go about my training, but the thing about my coaching is that I kind of put all the burdening on myself, so you just kind of got to go in, execute, do your thing. So logical lifting means there's a motive to your goal. Everyone's working out for a specific reason, whether it's simple as, getting ready for a vacation or some competitive sport. So lifting logically is kind of having a purpose to what you're doing rather than just kind of going about the movements and saying, I went to the gym and I worked out.
Right. And actually, I found myself doing that recently, that like I'll go and I've just plateaued. I do my cardio and I don't. So I'm one that needs structure. I want a written workout. I need to be following something. But let's say somebody's listening and they're new to the fitness world or they want to begin. How would you suggest they even get started?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely start with some sort of guidance. You always want to be careful with what you see online. Don't just jump on some random forum and follow some guy's program he put together. But I would definitely, get some advice from friends, family, that are obviously taking care of themselves physically and mentally fit. Get some advice from them on where to start. Or if it's, making a small investment in a program that, has some credibility, starting off that way to get some basic nutrition training guidance. But I would definitely say seek out some help instead of just kind of trying your own thing from the get-go.
Yeah. And something you shared with me, the key in what I want to talk about for sure is, especially now that, your episode, we're just hitting the new year and everybody wants to get on the bandwagon. This is when people have crazy fitness goals. But do you have an idea why people get so hyped up to start and then they fall off?
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to sustainability. I mean, my motto is flexible and sustainable fitness at its finest. And a lot of people just make too drastic of changes. People live their lives for years at a time and they want to achieve this goal or, go after this physical conditioning. And, they make drastic changes. They go on this clean eating plan. They're eating 6 times a day now when they were only eating 3. They're working out 5 days a week when they were, barely able to take the dog for a walk. I mean, it's these drastic changes that lead to, 2 weeks down the road, I can't stick to this anymore. And then they just completely go back to where they were at. So it's more so the baby steps, and working up to where you want to be. And that's where the guidance comes into play. Let's tackle this week. Okay, we've overcome this obstacle. Let's move on to the next objective, and we all know that's how it is with a lot of ways in life, but easier said than done, right?
Oh, I totally agree. And actually, I was at a yoga retreat a couple of weeks ago in Costa Rica, and there were 2 women that have gained quite a bit of weight. And we had to set goals. What did we want to accomplish by this time next year? So by November of 2019, what did we want to accomplish? And each of them had big goals to lose 60 and 80 pounds individually, which I think is awesome. Good for them to want that change. But if you don't have, I believe mindset is key. How did you even get to where you're at, right? Or what are the subconscious beliefs keeping you? Why are you still stuffing it down?
Yeah.
So do you work on that at all? The mindset of people, like how?
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not like a mindset or a life coach by any means, but absolutely, that's a huge part of it. I mean, in my qualification process, I'm mentally qualifying my clients if they're ready for a process like this, because not everyone's ready to take on a fitness journey, to be honest, and everyone deserves to get healthier physically and mentally, but are they really going to stick with the process and make the changes they need to if they're not ready up here, So Absolutely. There's a lot of mental preparation and a lot of mental fortitude to want to make that change for the right reasons before you actually go about enduring it. So totally agree.
So can you give an example of maybe a recent client or somebody that you helped them to build that mindset foundation before even just diving in?
Yeah, I mean, like when it comes to it's the reasoning behind what you really want. So I like to dig deeper a lot of the times with people that I'm qualifying, for a program in the first place, or a client that I may have that has a mental barrier or an image that other people perceive of them or something. So if someone's got a vision of how their wife views them, like, oh, my wife just doesn't look at me the same anymore. Every time I'm around her with my clothes off, I just feel demoralized. I don't feel like myself anymore. I'll build up his beliefs in another way. I'll find another way to make himself feel confident, whether that's affirmations or in the gym doing certain things that make him feel empowered, doing his favorite movement. If his strongest movement, if he happens to be able to bench press a lot, but he's still fat and overweight and he doesn't feel significant in the gym, but when he's under the bench press, he feels like masculine because that's his power movement. He's good at it. So I'll put them in that state of mind to make them feel more empowered, and then I'll kind of relate that back to this is how you want to try and feel when you're with your wife. So it's a lot of different scenarios and examples, but it's putting them in that mindset of feeling their best when they're at their lowest, if that makes sense.
Yes. Well, and can you talk about, from an athlete and a fitness perspective, I know how powerful, I'm actually training for a marathon. I'm running a marathon in 2019.
Whoa, did not know that. Okay.
I ran a half marathon a few years ago, but I had such a mental block after it because I didn't do enough training. I was in a lot of pain. I was beat up after that. And so running has always been my outlet, my go-to. I love the natural rush.
Mm.
But, and the reason I'm pushing myself in 2019 to run a marathon is because I want to bust through that block. Because I know that's all it is. And so for me, lately, when I've been running, I'm starting small 3 and 4 mile blocks, I've gotten so emotional visualizing myself crossing that finish line at the marathon.
Wow. No shit. I mean, yeah, that is amazing. I mean, I saw an interview with David Goggins the other day, if you're familiar with him, the world record pull-up individual. And oh my gosh, he ran like 8 weeks in a row, 8 weekends in a row, 100 miles. Like that's unfathomable. And it was all mental preparation. I mean, he was the one that went up to the pull-up record without doing a single pull-up, I think it was. He mentally prepared himself up until the point that he attempted the record. He hadn't done a pull-up. He wasn't physically training. He was mentally training. And that is like unfathomable to some people, like how can you only train mentally for certain things? And it just shows the power of the mind. So the fact that you're visualizing that whole aspect, it's almost like it's already done. Once I actually do it physically, it's like already done in my mind. And to me, that like is so powerful.
So how could we talk to these, let's say these women specifically that want to lose those 60 and 80 pounds? And when they were sharing their stories, one of them, I asked her, what color dress are you going to wear when you've lost that? Because I wanted her to picture herself 60 pounds slimmer, and she chose red. In that red dress, I was like, yes, it's going to be red.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
So
love that.
even
That's my favorite color too. So
with your clients, how do you work on them? Maybe is it doing those pull-ups, or is it doing a box jump? How do you help them with, besides the affirmations, with the mindset to achieve those goals?
yeah, I mean, translating it into a fitness goal or a physical goal is important too. Like progressive overload is big, so from week to week, we're always pushing some sort of parameter. If their goal is distance or endurance, we're pushing the time limits or showing that, we can crank their VO2 max or their heart rate up even further than we did last week. Or if it's, weight bearing improvements, showing them that they can do more weight than they did last week, even though it's like a limiting belief that they've never been able to do it before, So coming from a powerlifting background, I work with a lot of powerlifters too. And to be honest, it's a lot of mental blockage as far as like what they can do and what they can't do as far as weight. So I've been there myself too. It took me so long to just hit the 500-pound deadlift. For some reason, it was the number that was just mentally screwing with me. And it took me quite a while to just get to the point where I could overcome the fear of, okay, I can deadlift 500 pounds. And once I did it, it was like a totally different obstacle that I had moved on to because, it was the mental barrier that was holding me back.
How did you shift from, no, I can't do 500 to I'm fucking doing 500?
Oh, for me, it was it was time. It was the length of time it took me to realize, like, okay, how long am I letting this hold me back? You know, it took me a while to not only realize that it was mental, but even when I realized it was mental, I still wasn't getting across it. I was still letting it hold me back, and I had this self-doubt of overcoming this, 500-pound physical achievement. So once I was fed up enough is the point where I was like, okay, I can fucking do this, like you just said. So sadly for me, it kind of took the long path, but I learned a huge lesson from it.
Huge lesson. What I want to share with you, I had a personal trainer. I lived in San Diego this past summer, and for me, I wanted to do a box jump because
Mm,
I had a block with the box jump because we started small, and then like there's 3 different heights by the way
yeah,
you flip it.
I got you.
So I wanted it on the tall. So I don't even know the inches, but the high one. And I was freaked out because like, I don't think I can jump. So I have this mental thing that I don't think I can jump. I don't think, anyway, the last day of my training before I left San Diego, I decided that was the week we were going to dominate this box jump. And so I got up to do it, and like I stuttered and I fell on my knees. And then
Yeah.
I stepped back and something clicked. I stepped back. I literally fixed my ponytail. That was me of like, here's how I'm going to dominate. I stepped up and I nailed it, like inches to spare,
Wow,
nailed it.
man,
So I think
impressive.
that's what it
Love it.
is. It's just that it's a choice, but it's that small shift to be able to do it.
Totally agree. Yeah. And it's funny because a lot of the times people don't even realize that it's mental. When they overcome a barrier, it's like you've got to remind them, like, that was a mental barrier you overcame there. Because a lot of times we don't realize that we're not trained to think that our mind is capable of so much, but it absolutely is. So great point.
Can I ask you, is there something that you're working on now or some fitness goal milestone you're setting for 2019?
Fitness milestone. I mean, I'm dealing with like a minor back injury, so I want to get back into competitive powerlifting. So for me, it's big. Like I've got to have a goal, and everyone does. But if I'm not training for something specific, it's so much easier to not spend as much time in the gym or do what you should or skip a day and hold because it's like I'm not preparing for anything, so I can afford to skip the gym today. But when I'm dedicated, I'm locked onto a specific goal. Oh my gosh, I'm relentless. I will do whatever I need to make that goal happen. And it's always prioritized for. So if I'm preparing for something, no matter how busy my day is, it's crazy how I always make time for the gym. So yeah, it's just the goal for me is to get back into a regimen of actually preparing for something because I've noticed the past couple of months, although I've been working out and doing my thing, it's just like the motive isn't there. It's like I'm working out to stay in shape and be healthy, but like I'm not amped up about it like I usually should.
What advice would you give to listeners who want to have this active lifestyle, maybe aren't gym goers, but what are some
Mhm.
other things you could suggest just to have that physical movement that,
Yeah. I mean, working from home the past 2 years, I've realized a lot of this myself, especially on days I don't work out or if I'm working out later in the evening, I still like to move my body throughout the beginning of the day. So stretching and foam rolling is huge. I have a foam roller that I'll, roll my muscles on once or twice a day, briefly, like 5 minutes, like literally, if you don't have 5 minutes, you don't have a life. As Tony Robbins says, right? So there's really no excuse. I mean, a rebounder, I bought like a $35 rebounder, the mini trampolines. Oh my gosh, you jump on that thing for 2 minutes. I mean, your adrenaline's pumping, you got your heart rate going, and that wakes you right back up. Taking the dog for a walk, if you live in a nice area and you have an animal, I mean, just getting up and out of the house for a few minutes and doing something, whether it's taking a phone call outside, pacing back and forth in the kitchen when you're on the phone with, friend, family, whoever it is. I mean, you don't always have to be sitting down and sedentary. There's a lot of things you can do to just be a little more physically active throughout the day rather than, working out itself.
yeah. And I think for me, I realize is I have a no excuse mentality. So I've been traveling a ton lately. And so with me, I took, guess what? 2 pieces of equipment, a resistance
Yeah.
band and a jump rope.
Ah.
And for me, I love like writing something out a long whatever, and then having, I have to do a minute of push-ups or a minute of high knees or, that
Smart.
literally a 20-minute hit workout. at the hotel or on the beach, you can make it happen.
So true. And once again, it's the mental fortitude to make that happen. No one wants to get up early when they're on a trip or on vacation. Like, not only are you already out of your daily routine, but to get up early and get something in before I go about my day, I'm not going to, but it's like, it's that mental shift. You don't even give yourself the chance to have the excuse. It's like, if you've thought about it and you committed your mind to it, like, oh, I should get up and work out, just like commit right then and there. If you even think about it, just say, I'm going to get up tomorrow and I'm going to get it done. And I guarantee that will not only be bred into your mind, but you're going to thank yourself, tenfold, because it's so worth it.
And on that note, how powerful language is, because I've turned it into, I should go work out too. I get to work out. I have this body. I have all of my limbs. Some people don't have that ability. So like the thought that I get to work out is worked for me.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's being grateful, it's looking at the bright side of it, not, oh yeah, I've been forcing myself to work out because I know it's good for me. Like, that's not doing you any good. You've got to be grateful for the opportunity to be able to work out and, mindfully making that decision of, yeah, I willingly choose to work out every morning before I start my day, so being that state of gratitude that makes all the difference.
For sure. I want to ask you, when I say this statement, what is your initial response?
All right, hit me.
New year, new you.
Oh, I don't know. Mixed emotions. I guess it's sad because like a negative thought comes to mind because a lot of people say that and there's very little follow through. So for the folks that don't follow through, it's just like, the boy who cried wolf almost. You hear a lot of the New Year's resolution to make this happen. I'm going to change this and that. And a lot of people don't follow through. So it's kind of like a negative connotation. But for the people that do follow through, I think that's incredible because we all deserve the chance to change. We all have the willingness to change. And for the folks that are committed to, making a strong change in their lives, either because they're fed up or they want to be better in a certain area of their life, whether it's their communication, their relationships, their finances, we can all make positive changes. I've changed drastically in the past couple of years and I've had similar goals as a new year, new you, whether it was mid-year or at the New Year's, and I've changed pretty drastically. So, I totally believe in that saying, and I love it for those that are actually, staying truthful to it. What's your take? I'm curious as well.
I agree with most of what you said, but for me, it's, you don't need a new year. You don't have to wait until January 1st. You can do it today. Right. You could do it June 2nd. I mean, just stop waiting. I think that would be my message. Stop waiting for Monday, for Friday, for next month, for doing it today. Procrastination.
Yeah. And it even means even more when it's done at a different time, because a New Year's resolution is like the bandwagon jumpers, it's like, it's the time to start over, the time to set a new goal. But I mean, like you said, you can do it anytime. It's just like a common thing for everyone to try and, make the excuse of, we can wait till the new year to start the new goal. But it's like, no, fucking do it now.
Nailed it. All right. I like to wrap up each interview with some rapid fire questions. So I have 3 for you.
Cool. Let's do it.
What is a quote or motto that you live by?
Yeah. My favorite is Jim Rohn, actually. Surround yourself with the 5 people. No, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That is by far my favorite quote because I realize, your peer group is so powerful, important, because as much as you want to be positive or upbeat, if you're around negative people that are dragging you down and kind of, hitting their work life or, how they feel, I mean, it's going to drag you down whether you want it to or not. So you really, really have to be around like-minded, positive individuals.
Yes. Couldn't agree more. What is a book you're currently reading or that you highly recommend?
First that comes to mind, it's actually marketing related and not fitness related. It's Expert Secrets. So I learned a lot from that book just in terms of, persuasion and pain triggering and really relating to somebody, not just to sell them, but actually, show that you care about them and relate to their positioning and showing that you want to help them. So that book has helped really position me. And I believe I've helped change hundreds of more lives because I read that book rather than if I hadn't.
Good. I love new books. So I wrote that one down. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Do it.
And finally, I know that you're not that old, but what advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh, nice. Yeah, don't procrastinate, man. I mean, even when I took my training certification before I became a personal trainer, it's like I wanted to become a trainer, but it took me 2 years to finish it. And I had heard of people getting it done in like 4 months. So I was lazy, man. And it's hard to admit that, it takes a lot of guts to even say that. But, I was freaking lazy. I had the normal tendencies of an average individual, and just became fed up. I'm like, this isn't how I want to live my life. And it's better to make the change now when I don't have kids and you know, bills to pay, and it's harder to make that change. So I made that shift. I made that decision. Like, I'm going to change and I'm going to be something great in this world.
Yes. And now you're changing. So what is your goal? Like, do you have ultimately, you want to help 1,000 people? I read somebody's mission statement today. They want to reach 1 million people. What do you want to do?
Wow. I wouldn't say I have a number goal, but yeah, it's massive impact. I mean, every day I'm really trying to fine tune and leverage my time to where I can focus on what I do best. So every aspect of my business is a new obstacle and more shit to do. But, I've got a team, I've got people I can lean on, I've got folks that can help leverage, I mean, technology is fantastic. So there's a lot of platforms and things we can use to help save us time. So I want to focus on delivering results and value to my clients and outsource everything else so I can help as many people as possible with their fitness goals.
That's awesome. You provided so much good knowledge today. Thank you so much for
Oh,
joining me.
no, thanks for having me a part. I greatly appreciate it. It means a lot. So very grateful.